PWS ladies, trust you guys are all well today. Trust you guys have had a beautiful, beautiful day so far, and that your week has been absolutely amazing. It's been blessed. My name is Alicia, and I've been asked to bring the devotional for today. I was going back and forth, asking God what it is that He wants me to, say to you guys this week. And in my own head and in my own understanding, I've been going through a few things, things that I've spoken about before, or that I've come across during the week. But I remember yesterday, my brother was here, and so I had just a very short conversation with him. And he said something that I thought was quite powerful, and it reminded me of a talk that I had with my husband the previous day. That sort of relates to what he was saying to me in that moment. And he was talking about his relationship and how in the beginning he found it really hard, until he realized that it was hard because his partner was challenging him. She was bringing him face to face with his own shortcomings. She was putting him in a position where he literally had to go sit with himself and with things that he might not have been consciously aware of, but has been brought to the fore because of the relationship and things that he was forced to deal with within himself. And we were just talking about how the refinery process actually works like that. The refining, I'm not sure what the right term is, but when gold is being refined, it is put through a fire with really intense heat, and they do that. They put raw gold through that process because their aim is to bring out the impurities, to make the purity surface that is in there that can't be taken out or necessarily seen by the naked eye, but they need this process in order to bring that to the surface and then to get rid of, so that they could end up with this pure gold that obviously now is more worth than what the raw gold would have had before it was being refined. And so I was reminded by the talk that me and my husband had the day before, but a friend of ours was going through a really tough time, and I was just saying how oftentimes, because it was relational, and I said to him, it's sad is that what's going to happen is you're going to move from one relationship to the next, and if you do not deal with what needs to be dealt with, you are just going to deal with the same issues over and over again, blaming other people, saying that they are the issue, when in essence you might not be dealing with your own blind spots, your own issues, hurts, traumas. And I was saying that how often, you move from relationship to relationship, or from church to church, or from friend to friend, or from, job to job. And everybody else is always a problem. But you forgot that you actually take yourself with everywhere you go. And so maybe it's time that you actually just ask yourself, but why do the same things repeat itself over and over again? Could it just be that I attract the same people, all the time? Or could the problem be me? But I was drawn to this text in the Bible, Job 23, that sort of deals with, a refining process. And it reads as such. Job 23 verse 10. But he knows the way that I take. He has concern for it, appreciates, and pays attention to it. That's so beautiful. He knows the way that I take. Because He is the author and the finisher. When He has tried me, I shall come forth as refined gold, pure and luminous. I am reminded of the past few years that has been really tough. COVID's been hard on all of us in many ways. We've lost a few people within this process of our lives. We've lost, recently, we've lost a past friend of ours that would like family. They married us. He had his heart just seized. He was really young, he was very fit. Well, not really. He was in his 50s, but he looked like he was in his 30s. He was just really fit and healthy. And so it was a shock to find out that he had passed away. Well, he had heart failure and he ended up in hospital and he was kept alive for a few days and then he passed away eventually. And then a friend of ours who we lost through COVID, I had two uncles that we lost through COVID who we were really close to, my mother's brothers. And people within, we have a ministry in Johannesburg and within our church, people who we know and who we love, and just really beautiful people. And then even before that, starting in 2016, I've lost my mother-in-law really suddenly in Jan 2016. Then in June of that same year, I lost my grandmother, who I grew up, who was basically my mother. It was very traumatizing. And then in a few months after that, we lost my grandfather. And then after that, I lost a cousin. She was only 19 years old. She was diagnosed with lupus shortly after she gave birth to a baby. We thought that she might just be on meds for some time, but passed away shortly after that. And just, a really, really hard time, I think, losing somebody that you love dearly is one of the most traumatizing things that anybody could ever go through. And so for me, it was really tough. But I was thinking about this text and this verse. I'm thinking about how I was telling my brother the other day how when I moved to Johannesburg in 2004, shortly after I matriculated, I moved to Johannesburg just because I wanted to come and study and just for better life for me. I moved here and I had then come to live with my mom, who I've never lived before because I grew up with my grandmother. And so just now being in that environment was challenging because first of all, it was different. It was completely different to the environment that I grew up in. And then just lots of other things that I personally had to deal with, and it was hard. I remember, being depressed. I wasn't diagnosed, but I was definitely depressed if I think about it in retrospect for a while. And I told my brother, you know what, moving to Johannesburg and coming to live here was the worst thing and time in my life before we've lost all these people. But it was the best thing that I could ever have done. There's just so much. My perspective was definitely challenged. But through that, there was a new perspective that was being born. My eyes were broadened, my mind was broadened, my worldview completely changed. But it didn't come easy because I was, forced to sit still and to deal with my own limited understandings and belief systems and blind spots and all of these things. And it wasn't easy. It's never easy to be, sat in front of things about yourself that you thought was absolutely perfect. It was absolutely fine, and now you find out that it isn't. To deal with it and just to be confronted by these shortcomings, but the choice to take that and to run with it and to take it as fertilizer and grow is very important. I feel like, the power of choice. They say a changed mind is a dangerous mind. The power of choice can change a lot of things. I believe that if we, are being put in challenging situations, in difficult situations, in traumatizing situations, we do have the choice to make it work for our good, or we have the choice to fall into that hole and stay there and make it destroy us, like I've seen it has done for so many people. Edith Egbert says that there's no guarantee that life's going to be easy. Go check your birth certificate. There's nothing on there. No guarantees. Jesus, as Christians, sometimes we sort of feel like when you're a Christian, then everything needs to be perfect, and we sort of connect, being a Christian to life running smoothly. The door just opens magically. You know what? God sort of just, I don't know, it's like an escalator. He's just moving, like everything just opens. I pray and it opens. You know what? God comes and he just opens the doors and he makes everything beautiful, and that's a sign that God really loves me. No, that's not how it works. God doesn't want us to just be raw and refined. Children of his, he wants us to be refined. He wants us, for his purpose and for his plan, because we've come into this world. We come as sinners, and so how are we going to receive the grace that God has died for on that cross? We need to be refined. And so how will we be refined? By being put through the fire. And so what keeps us, what anchors us through these processes? What is it that's going to anchor us? Because it's easy. We're human beings, we will get despondent. We will, feel depressed. We have emotions. I believe that one of the keys to dealing with the process, because the process is never easy. They say retrospect is always in 20/20 vision. It's easy to tell a story to people after you've been through the process. It sounds beautiful, and there's so many beautiful things that have come from it when you tell the story. But in essence, when you went through that process, it was hard. And so how do you deal with that then when you go, what are your anchors? I believe you have to know what God promised you, first of all, because you need to hold on to that. It needs to be your anchor. You need to know what he says about you. That is an anchor. Your faith, your belief, what you choose to believe, that is an anchor. And then also the stories you tell yourself. I was telling my cousin the other day the power of a story. I've seen how so many people's lives have been destroyed by stories. How if I come and I give you an understanding of a story and you believe it, and we start following that story, how that can shape a life, the power of a story. And so the stories we tell ourselves, the stories we believe, that other people tell us about ourselves, the power of a story. I grew up with my grandmother, like I said, and for a long time I did feel as though I was rejected by my very own mother, and therefore it must mean that I am worthless. And so it was hard, walking around feeling like, oh my goodness, my own mother didn't even want me. And I got, one day somebody said something so beautiful, and they said that, you know what, it was never rejection, it was redirection. And so I was like, oh my goodness, if it wasn't rejection, which has a negative connotation, and it was redirection, then God must really love me, that God has a greater plan for me, that he's placed me here for a reason, for his purpose. And so when I started believing that, I started telling myself different stories. I started telling myself better stories that was in line with my worth and what in essence God says about, me, not the devil. What he was trying to tell me to veer me off of my path. And so, what are the stories that we tell ourselves on a daily basis? If we can start reframing certain things and saying that, you know what, yes, that was hard, but it made me stronger. Yes, that was terrible, but I've learned so much through that situation. I've grown so much. I've gained so much. Connie also always says, when a challenge presents itself in her life, she gets excited because what she sees is not a challenge or trouble or something terrible. She sees a present because she's learned throughout her life that when there's a challenge, there is a present at the end. There's a gift, wisdom, insight, growth, whatever the case may be. And so, what do we tell ourselves? How do we choose to see the world? Perspective is another thing. It's so important, but obviously it's in line with the stories that you tell yourselves and obviously the faith you have in those stories. And so, but we need to know what God says about us, because once you have that foundation, then all of those things comes easy. And those become your anchor as you go through these challenges.